G'day, Bomber fans. Well, there were two more injuries to the AFL side on Friday night. We don't know if those players, Laverty and McMahon, will be right to play against Carlton next week. It means that we might have two more changes to make for that game, and one of those changes may well be another debutant for the club, debut number 16. I'm sure that's why most of you guys are watching today, to see how Kayle Gerreyn did in defence. We're going to talk about that, don't worry. But yeah, this was the last VFL game for the year. Our season is now done. We missed the 8, much closer to the bottom. But we end our season on a high at least, destroying Sandringham. It was 115-54, some lovely footy being played and a good reward in what's been a tough year for the club. But yeah, let's talk about the AFL listed guys. Also, before we do start this, stay tuned because later today we will have an AFLW review out for our game last night. We kicked off our season against GWS. I don't know what the result was. I'm recording this in between the VFL and the AFLW games. I'm just going to say the Bombers won. It was a fantastic win for the AFLW Bombers, and if that isn't the case, then I'm going to look pretty silly. But yeah, let's talk about this game. All right, starting with Kayle Gerreyn. This is what everyone wants to hear about. I mean, this is the reason we're making these videos, pretty much, to see who can come into the team. And Kayle Gerreyn is right now our only fit key defender. So Laverty was injured against St Kilda with a corked hip. He might be good to play in that Carlton game. He might get up and be fine, but there's every chance that he isn't. And if he isn't, then it's probably Kayle Gerreyn who could come in and replace him, because we don't have anyone else. So how did Gerreyn go? He was really good. He was our main intercepting key back for the day. He finished with 19 touches, 9 marks, 9 interceptions, a couple of really strong intercept marks. So he's out there winning the ball back for us, reading it really well, and giving us usage when our opponents have the footy, and that's really important for a defender to do. I liked his ground level work early. That's what I noted down in the first quarter. His ground level work was really impressive, but as the game went on, he started to impose himself in the air more, some good body spoils, and there was also a really good attack on the footy to progress it forward when he won it. So there was a really nice run that he went on in the middle of the ground, which kind of fizzed out a bit with an inside 50 entry, but it showed the kind of player that Gerreyn could be, where he wins the ball and just kind of goes. He's a really athletic player for his size. And yeah, I guess the one negative from his game, kind of, touching on that run that he went on a bit when the ball fizzed out his inside 50 entry. I've said a bit in the last few weeks that I think he really needs to sharpen up his ball use, especially now that he's playing deep in defence. You can be a bit relaxed and get away with it going forward, and that's probably how it's been for a lot of this year, and we just haven't really noticed it as much. But if you're turning the footy over in D50, it hurts a lot. And Gerreyn is a lovely kick. He's really good on both sides of his body. I'd say that's probably his biggest asset in some ways, is his kicking. But yeah, I think he just needs to sharpen up a bit and make smarter decisions when holding the footy, or maybe just, be a bit more, have a bit more intent when using the footy, because there were one or two moments where he was a bit too relaxed with it, which forced a turnover to Sandringham. Overall, really strong performance. Probably his best for the year, I'd say. I'm not sure if he's ready to play yet. It's tough to know what his fitness levels are like when you're watching TV coverage, but he's clearly improved his tank from the start of the year, so that's good. Whether it's at AFL level or not remains to be seen. The club will know, we won't. I can't tell you what that would be like, but that was the main concern at the start of the year, his fitness levels. So if he doesn't play this week, it's because of that. I think a lot of his game is definitely ready for the big time, or maybe not ready, but it's up to standard with what a debutant could be. But I personally think, just looking back on earlier rounds when I watched him live, he's probably not quite at the stage to run out games against Coleman medal winning players. So yeah, it would be good to experience to play AFL footy, but if he's not ready physically, then you don't want him to go out there and get 15 goals kicked on him, because it would be pretty brutal, a pretty brutal baptism of fire. I'm going to guess he doesn't play. That's just my assumption, but I'd love to be proven wrong. Alwyn Davey Jnr. was busy again in the back half. Got a fair bit of the footy to his name, which is good. Because, look, as I've said pretty much the whole time since he was drafted, when he has the footy, good things happen. So he had 20 touches, 5 rebounds. Pretty standard rebound defender's game, I think. He was generally good with the footy. Made a few mistakes, but nothing really too notable. He probably wasn't as sharp as he usually is, so he wasn't taking as many risks. But he still provided us with a lot of good exits, took a lot of our kick-ins. Him and Johnson probably split them a fairly even amount. But no, he was good. I doubt he comes back into the AFL team. I think that's probably his last game for Essendon. I think he's already played his last AFL game, and that's unfortunate. I think unless more injuries hit, but at least he's going hard at it. He's ended the year in good touch. He's been good for us in the last month. He has versatility now, which clubs would like if they wanted to pick him up for cheap, but I think this was probably his last game in the red and black. He's out of contract and hasn't played played an AFL game this year. Big Vigo Visentini back in the ruck, back in the VFL. I thought he'd be playing in the AFL against the Saints on Friday because he was rested last week, and maybe that was the expectation for the weekend, but that probably changed when both Merritt and Shield were rubbed out because we probably needed the experience of Goldie. But back in the Rezzies, he really just dominated the ruck all day against a pretty undersized St Kilda. He was often going up against Isaac Keeler, who's a highly rated prospect there, but it was a bit of a no contest. Sandy as a team had 21 hitouts. Vigo on his own, while sharing ruck duties with Monteith and Cooper Duff-Tytler, who was really promising on debut. But yeah, Vigo on his own had 48 hitouts, so he was so dominant in there. It was rare that he lost a one-on-one ruck duel. The only downside for his game is probably it would have been cool to see him involved a bit more around the ground. Like he was always going to dominate lesser rucks, but he failed to really cement himself in open play. Just the 4 kicks. But yeah, I suspect he'll play AFL again, whether it's next week or the week after, just because there's a short break in there for old gold. Zak Johnson played a really good game, a really underrated game actually, because I think off the back of this, surely he plays AFL. Like in just about every facet you could ask him to perform in, he did. So his stats: 22 touches, 2 goals, 18 kicks, 5 tackles, 5 intercepts. He was playing in defence. Let's start with his defensive game. So I thought he was as good and solid as he has been down back all year. And I think that's probably the main worry with Johnson at the moment. He's defensively less aware than others, and that's probably why he's not cemented in that AFL team. I loved some of his efforts in this game, though. He was tackling as hard as I've seen him tackle. He was giving it to the opposition. He was really solid. And then with ball in hand, he was fantastic. He went mostly by foot, rarely made a mistake, kicked some lovely goals, which is rare for a defender. One was a set shot around the 50 mark. The other was a beauty on the run from 40 out. He was pushing up the ground really well to get involved higher up. Yeah, I thought he was great. I'd say he was our best, not of the whole VFL team, because Xavier O'Neill was pretty nutty, but of the AFL listed boys out there, low bar only being 6 of them, but he was awesome. So yeah, I'd love to see him back in the AFL team soon, because I think he's someone we need to get more games to. I think he's so promising going forward, this guy, and he's shown so much in the VFL this year. Such a trustworthy kick, and he's kind of got that relaxed attitude that Gerreyn has, but he doesn't miss targets. He is a beautiful kick of the footy and clinical around the goals, it seems. So yeah, awesome stuff. Archer Day-Wicks was really productive early. He did fade as the game went on, but with the 8 touches, 7 kicks, it did feel a lot bigger and better and more impactful than that. It was kind of that classic low disposal, high impact type game. Like, I could tell you about 5 or 6 big moments he had, or big moments in the game that came directly from him, and that is weird because he only had 8 disposals. But yeah, I mean, so he set up our first 2 goals directly. He found Sellers with a nice little chip inside 50, and then found him again later in the quarter with a longer kick on the lead. And then later in the quarter, he himself found space out the back for a mark and converted a set shot. So his first 3 disposals were either a goal or a direct goal assist. And he really did deserve that goal because he was doing some nice things early, even with his pressure. He was going really hard at it. He had good tackle numbers. Had an awesome rundown tackle in the second, actually. And then later on had another inside 50, which wasn't the direct result of a goal, but we did score from it. So I'd say most of his disposals were involvements. The AFL site says he only has 1 score involvement, which is incorrect. He had at least 2 direct score assists, and probably more on top of that. So don't trust the AFL site when it comes to some VFL stats. But no, ideally, even with the high impact nature of his game, you do want him to be finding the footy more. I did notice him flagging a bit as the game went on. He had lots of energy early, doing really good things early, and then, it kind of faded away. So I think his fitness might be something that needs a bit of work because he does drift in and out of games a bit. Was very good early, but lost it late. And Oskar Smartt, he was good. Stats don't tell the full story. He was really good inside 50 for us. His defensive work was great. His tackling pressure was awesome. He was maybe, I don't know, it's his tackling, his intent to tackle was really good. He does miss a few, goes in really hard. It's kind of that 19, 20-year-old energy when you go in hard for a tackle and get shrugged off easy. But no, even just like little spoils, little taps, little moments that, don't get shown on the stat sheet, but gave us energy and sometimes forced a turnover. The only issue really was his use of the footy. He missed a gimme set shot after a really good holding the ball tackle inside 50, missed another one running into an open goal where he kind of left it short, but then randomly later on he goes and kicks an outside of the boot banana from the boundary line. Like, he's that type of player where, he's going to do the mercurial things, the unpredictable stuff, and then miss from right in front. But yeah, I think as the year's gone on, He's probably one who is left on the outer a bit with the contract squeeze. And look, in a game like this where he played reasonably well, it's still tough to see him coming back into the AFL lineup, and you probably need to come into the AFL lineup if you want to be on the AFL list next year. There's going to be a bit of a squeeze, and I just think he might be on the outer a bit. So unfortunately, again, like with Alwyn Davey Jnr, this may well be the last game he's played for the Bombers. We'll see. But that is that. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. It was a good way to end the year for the VFL team. Hopefully the AFL side get a bit of success in the last 2 games, and maybe one of these guys will feature if we're to get that win. So cheers for watching. That's the last of the VFL videos. No need to worry though, because there'll be plenty of AFLW content to replace it. I'll have the review for last night's win against GWS out today. I'm just assuming it's going to be a win. So stay tuned for that. But cheers for watching. Like, subscribe, and go Bombers.